It's round number 7 of the Washington, D.C. region SCCA Virtual Racing League. This time, racing on the streets of Detroit. This is Detroit Belle Isle. Welcome to Sim TV. I'm Kyle Heyer, joined by Finian DeCuna for the 7th round of 10 this season. This time taking on 14 turns and 2.3 miles, racing between the concrete canyons at Detroit. Finian, this is a fun racetrack to drive, but it could be treacherous at best and dangerous at worst in a car like a GR86. It's a fast place even in a slow car.
Yeah, that's the thing. And honestly, up until, I guess, yesterday, it would have been a lot more treacherous, but this car just got a recent update, and, you know, you and me both did a little bit of time in this car, and it drives a lot better. I'm sure these guys are going to feel a lot better going around this place because the braking on this car has been kind of mixed bag. They have significantly improved the braking ability in this car, and I'm sure these guys are going to love that, being able to get on the brakes confidently, because if you don't get on the brakes confidently, you're going to be flying to a concrete wall pretty quickly.
2022 is the last season of racing here at Detroit Belle Isle. This is now a historic circuit as well. They're going to be moving back to downtown Detroit for the racing here in the future. This track originally constructed in its current form or close to it in 1992, so it's seen a handful of decades of racing, but tonight it's going to host over 30 GR86s, and you mentioned that new damage model update, the ABS update as well, helping this thing on the brakes. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Qualifying is already underway. We'll head down to the racetrack and cover things for you. Lap times in the low 140 range. Colin Daner currently on provisional pole.
Yeah, qualifying is going to be extremely important here, so especially the tracks that are tight, narrow, twisty, and especially the street courses. You're definitely going to want to qualify well and qualify strong. Colin Daner, though, just usurped by Paul Darling in the 155, jumping up to pole position by a solid margin to 8/10.
It's one of those cars that you can be really aggressive with now because of the changes that were made in iRacing's Season 2 build for 2023. The changes really changed the characteristics of this car on the braking especially. It still likes to dive on the nose. The suspension didn't change, but the way the brakes slow the car down and the way that it handles while trail braking are significantly improved. And Finian, that's going to make for a lot more aggression, I think, early on in the race, especially when optimism is high and confidence is high, but tire grip is generally low as Paul Darling goes for a loop at the exit of the corner. Here's a quick look at the track map here at Belle Isle. This is an interesting layout here, Finian. It all starts with a run down to turn number 1 and 2. There's a sweeping right-left. Fun, fast corners that lead to your best passing opportunity, turn number 3.
Yeah, you're going to see a lot of action down into turn number 3. It's going to be the action spot tonight. Then through 4, then the right-hander through 4, then left through 5, then off to turn 6. And then you head down another straightaway, which is also going to be another good passing opportunity.
Turn number 7 is the apex at that right-hander. Then it's 8, 9, and 10. Left, left, left before a sharp right-hander, one of the slowest corners on the track, leading into what I think is the most treacherous combination of corners at this place. 12 and 13. You don't have any room for error there. And when I say you don't have any, I mean you do not have any.
Yeah, it's weird because those corners, if you look at a track map, okay, those don't seem too bad. But then when you get to there, you have a wall right on the apex, a wall right on the entry and the exit. And if you get it wrong, you're going to get it very wrong and mess up your car. So look right on board with the 61 of DJ Allison Green. He's currently working his way around. Second on the timesheets, trying to see if he can beat Paul Darling.
Now, right now, P2, you see him bouncing over the curbs. You can be very aggressive with those curbs here tonight with this car, with the soft suspension. Through turn 5 and into turn 6, this is a corner that you really got to get down to that wall, right to it, as DJ does. Back on throttle to a very long back straightaway, and then turn 7, which is your second best passing opportunity. But this kind of weaves its way down it's not really straight, even though we call this a straightaway. And you kind of have to go from here, move left, back to the concrete wall, then on the brakes. That's a pinch point there. Curb on the inside, and that wall there, 2 at the exit of 7 will catch you.
Yeah, speaking of that curb, you don't want to launch and ride on that curb. You want to just gently go around the outside of it, because if you launch, you're going to go launching into the concrete wall that you pointed out.
And I mentioned turn number 11 right here, very slow corner, and it always feels like you need to get on power a little sooner, a little better, but you just can't. And then here, I don't think I've ever hit this corner once or made it feel good once in my iRacing career. It is so hard to get that right.
And you can see DJ using all of the track, almost hitting on the exit wall there, but just narrowly knowing his limit. We'll see if he can improve his time, though. It's, on the timesheets, looks like he might improve and get pole. We'll see. Can he execute?
Yes, a 142.682, and he will go to the top of the board. Michael Montello, a pretty good qualifying effort. He's jumped off the racetrack. Jack Chrissy 4th, Darren Treacle 5th, Darian Taggart, Colin Daner. Bit of a mix-up here, and Caleb Patry and Daner down the order a little bit more than I would have thought. And where is...
What are you looking for?
Caleb Patry's teammate, Morgan Burkhardt. Where is he right now?
I do not see him. Oh, he's 12th. Never mind.
Yeah, so this is something that's interesting, as I wonder if this is a track-related change for Morgan and Caleb, because this duo has been rock solid in these cars so far this season, and I just wonder if it's the track or the changes to the braking that have taken away their advantage this week.
I think a little bit of both. This track's significantly different than what we've gone through for the rest of the season. A lot more bumpy, a lot more narrower. So I think it definitely changes up your driving style. And you mentioned too, also the change of the ABS that also has to be throwing them for a little bit of a loop, because these guys have only had pretty much a day of practice with the car since it was updated. So we'll see if he can improve. One driver I'm actually really concerned with is Ken Seal. He's in no position because he's yet to put a qualifying time down. I've seen him crash a few times so far. He's coming to the line to start his only flying lap, and this will be his only chance he has. Otherwise, he's going to be starting in a really bad spot.
I don't think he's going to have time to...
No, he does. He narrowly does. He should have like about 10 seconds of a... Actually, you're maybe right.
He's going to be short by a while, so that's going to be a problem for Ken. He's going to have to start tail of the field, because when this time elapses, this is not an open qualifying session, so the session will immediately end when we hit 0. But Ken is already, unless that 47.9 counted, which it doesn't appear to have done.
No, that was an outlap. I was looking at the wrong column.
Oh, and that won't either. That wouldn't. He just hit the wall at the exit at 2.
Well, Ken Seal's going to have a long day.
Everyone told me this was going to be a fun combination, but they did expect a lot of dramas in the way of accidents and incidents. It's just a tough track to drive by yourself. You put 35 cars on it, it'll be even harder. Anthony Montello, P15. But looks like Cathers, Daner, Jermaine Major, Andrew Pilata, and Ken Seal are not going to get qualifying efforts completed.
I think also, too, as got qualifying wrapping up, another update we didn't mention yet so far, as far as the new damage model.
Yeah. That's going to be interesting. I think in some instances it's actually going to be helpful, because the new damage model, this car was so sensitive on the corners before that the second you touch anybody, you'd have your hood in your face out the windshield. It is definitely much improved, and actually I think this is one of iRacing's best examples of new damage model. A lot of the tin top cars in particular have been pretty weak in this area, but this particular car looks and feels really good bad, but in the right way when you hit something. So I think we're going to see some spectacular demonstrations of that tonight, but it is certainly more unforgiving at the high level of impact energy, which the other car was, or previously it was a little bit more forgiving at the high end and a lot less forgiving with smaller impacts. So we'll see how it all pans out. But we'll head down to the racetrack and get a look at everyone at the cleanest their cars will be in the 3 races tonight. Again, we have 10, 10, and 15-minute sprints with an 8-driver invert after the conclusion of this race. So, Finney, let's roll through our starting lineup. Kicking things off on row 1, it'll be DJ Alessandrini in the number 61, and alongside him, Paul Darling in the 155.
Moving on to row number 2, Michael Montello in the number 3, and next to him, Steve Fikachi. He's been having a really good string of races lately in the 51, next to him in 4th.
Row 3 is Jack Chrissy in the number 9, and Darren Treacle in the number 70. He rolls off 6th.
Darren Taggart's going to be rolling off in 7th in the 95. Colin Taylor in the 88, next to him in 8th place.
9th place, Peter Zhang in the number 28. Great qualifying effort there. Caleb Patry still chasing some speed. He starts 10th in the 198.
And his teammates not too far behind him in 11th. John Carlos Schooler in the 27 car is next to Mark Rostova in the 87, starting in 12th.
13th place is Morgan Burkhardt in the number 2. Will Robbins starts 14th in the number 35.
Moving on to 15th, find Anthony Montello in the 268. Next to him, Kevin Sue's going to line up in the 243 and 16th. 17th
place is Mark Levance in the number 25. Mike Leader starts P18 in the number 53.
Moving on to 19th, going to be Deacon Greenfield in the 32 car. Adam Kovacs going to be rolling off in the 85 in 20th.
21st place is Ed Harris in the number 20. Ryan Carwile starts 22nd in the 71.
Brendan McMillan is going to be rolling off in the 33 car in 23rd. Richard Sawicki is next to him in the 528 in 24th.
Felix Borodady starts 25th in the number 56, and Louis Alessi starts 26th in the 43.
Don Welleman in the 13 car is rolling off in 27th, with Bob Shoemaker in the 30 car in 28th.
29th place is Albert No in the number 181. Ken House-Seal starts 30th in the number 29.
James Gaskins and Mario off in the 129 in 31st, Jermaine Major in 32nd, and Ryan Daner in 33rd, rounding out your field of 33 cars here tonight.
Field rolls through turns 12 and 13. They're heading towards the green flag here shortly. 10-minute race is about 6 laps here at Detroit Belle Isle. Very slow start here by Alessandrini, bunching the field up because it takes so long to get everyone packed up. It looks like they're under control now, so now we focus our attention back forward here as Alessandrini brings them down towards the green flag. 29 mile an hour here on the start.
Pace speed is 45, FY.
Yes, very, very, very slow start. Here we go. Green flag flies. WDCR SCCA Virtual Racing League round number 7 is underway from Detroit.
We'll see how these guys behave. Already 3 wide in the front, some beating, some banging for the most part. The first half of the field making it through 1 and 2.
So far, so good. We made it through the first corner, first and second corner. Look at that, how we're doing. There's one car pulled off to the side. That's Caleb Patry, who's coming to us slow. Everyone else scatters and makes it through. Alessandrini protects down into 3. Darling, Chrissy, 2 and 3. Michael Montello, Focacci now getting by Darian Taggart to the number 95.
Yeah, this is typically where it could be a big problem spot right here is heading to turn 3, but everyone makes it through one piece of really good control and by everyone involved because it's so tempting, especially in the initial start, to try to make a move.
Everyone has done a fantastic job so far. And I don't know exactly why Patry was pulling out a line, but he has done so. I didn't see any damage on that car, Finian.
No, I just looked at the replay, no damage. He actually just left the server, so I think he had to do something. So hopefully everything's okay for Patry in real life. But going back to the track here, Alessandrini leading over Darling and then Montello in 3rd place.
All right, our first incident here is Albert No in the number 181. Let's see what happened to him. Pretty innocent looking from what I can tell. Not a lot of damage, just gets tagged from, I think that's the 6 of Ryan Daner.
Yes, it is, and unfortunately Noah's going to be out. So I'm sorry, Daner's going to be actually out. Noah's still going around as they work through now one of the tightest sections of the track heading through Sector 3.
And House-Seal is just ahead of this, charging from that very deep starting position. This is going to be a long night, hard track to make up track position on, hard place to make passes. So in a format that encourages you to make passes with such short races, you got to get yourself to work here.
Yeah, it's really hard to make, and we're going to be talking about it all night long. Actually, I say it's hard to make passes. Peter Zhang over Burkhardt racing side by side into turn 1 right now for 9th place. And they're just going to narrowly avoid each other, and you see Burkhardt trying to set up the over-under here, heading through turn 2.
Whoa!
Almost tagging the wall, pushing the limits.
Not as close as you can get to without hitting it. He's going to hold Zhang very tight. They're going to touch.
Easy, guys, don't test out the new damage model yet.
Yeah, Giancarlo Schooler is watching this out the windshield as they dive into 3. Zhang's going to come across the nose of the 2, and they're all going to get bogged down here at corner exit. Spin in the background, and right ahead of Adam Kobach, it is Mark Labance, who's going to bail out immediately.
Kevin Zhu still side by side now with Giancarlo Schooler, duking out for 11th place and narrowly going to avoid Patricia New. And do I see a late dive from Burkhardt? I do.
These two have been totally scrapping the last couple of corners. Look at the background. Mark Shrivastava getting into the mix there with Anthony Montello and Kevin Zhu. It's a race to turn 7, though, between Daner and, Burkhardt and Zhang.
You can see, have they decided in order they want to settle on? Burkhardt's going to throw it up the inside. Zhang going to barely give enough room. And this is one of the tightest sections of the track. It's so hard to even go side by side through here.
Oh, there's some more contact there. Burkhardt gets sent into the wall there, and here comes Schooler to avenge his teammate up the inside. Headlights flashing. Burkhardt didn't appreciate that. Kevin Zhu now smells blood in the water.
Yeah, it looks like Schooler is just narrowly going to clear the 28. And here comes Kevin Zhu, as you mentioned, blood in the water. Here he goes, gets a great run out of the corner, and he's going to pass Zhang by the time they even get to the next one.
Hopefully Zhang doesn't try to hang on the outside here. Just too tough to do that. Burkhardt is right to the back of the 28. You cannot run. You cannot hide. You're walled in here. Nowhere to go.
Yeah, I was going to say, you really want to hope if you hit someone, you're going to hope that they get sent several seconds down the order, not right in back behind you. Here they go again, a mirror where they were a lap ago.
And again, the new damage model here flexing its muscles because Morgan is able to continue just from that light scrape. No big deal here. Now the run back to turn 3. This time Anthony Montello from 15. Ooh, the one car got in the wall there in the background. But race to turn 3, and Montello's got a run on the 2.
But Burkhardt's got a run.
Trouble in the background. Jermaine Major in the wall at the exit at turn 2.
Oh, Curious if he had any help or was involved with anyone else with that, because it's a high-speed section of track. And the apex, or sorry, the exit is right there.
No, just got loose on his own and into the wall there for Jermaine Major. All right, back to Burkhardt and Zhang once more.
They're really up, and they say that I was going to say they don't want to let each other go, but Zhang's going to make a mistake and goes 1, 2, maybe 3 spots as they still bang doors.
This time Montello sweeps to the outside here, and Mark Shrivastava up to 12th place in all this chaos. Up front, not missing a thing. Alessandrini leads Darling. Here's where the exciting stuff is, though. This is for about 11th spot. Look at that big jump over the curb by the 32 of Deacon Greenfield. He didn't have anywhere to go, so he chose to shortcut the corner and take that GR86 skyward.
And still going to make it on through. That battle has subsided now. Zhang ahead of Anthony Montello, so they finally sorted out some sort of order here. There's some great action.
Like leader, 18th to 15th, up 3 spots here early in the going. And look at Montello out of line to get by him, or Zhang rather, just ahead.
Yep.
Will open the door for leader if he can keep Zhang to the outside, but Zhang's going to cross over.
It's been a very poor lap for Peter Zhang. He's dropped 3 spots. He's going to try to get that 1 spot back. Trying to make a move on Montello. Going to look to the left side of the track and get squeezed.
Qualified very well. Race is not going the right direction for Peter, though. Great pace on his own as they come out of turn 2 and sail down towards 3. Meanwhile, up for 2nd place, Jack Chrissy is pressuring Paul Darling. Here he comes at turn number 4. Door slammed shut there by the 155.
Yeah, they're actually doing switchbacks on each other heading towards turn number 3. So the battle is brewing for a little bit, but Chrissy now backing off, and still the battle in behind there. There you see Montello narrowly making it through. Peter Zhang now under attack again, now from Mike Leader.
It's going to go from bad to worse on the outside. It's like you're racing at Martinsville. You get rooted up out of the groove and then just multiple corners when things start to walk on you. But I've been really impressed with the cleanliness of Race 1, but Race 1 has traditionally not been our problem. Look at Indianapolis last week. Race 1 was great, and then Race 2 and 3 devolved into absolute chaos. We'll see if that story rings true here tonight. Detroit as well.
Yeah, these guys have done a really good job of behaving themselves, but like you said, we have to see really till we get later on in the entire event, but the next 2 races we have, how they are going to behave.
Man, do you see the impact that Montello just took on the curbing? Watch this.
I'm surprised these guys have been aggressively going over the curves, but yeah, they've just been eating them. I mean, more power to them. I would try to avoid them a little bit.
Absolute obliteration. Seal, by the way, just got by Ryan Carwile, has his sights set on Deacon Greenfield. He's up 11 spots.
Yeah, it's really solid. Really, yeah, really for this race, it's going to be a matter of just getting up as high as possible. Definitely not going to be able to make the invert again. We're going to invert the top 8 after race 1 is done into race number 2. So nowhere near that, but he is making up some solid positions, and by the end of the night, you might be able to crack inside the top 10 and potentially fight.
Alessandrini working by some traffic. Here's a bit of a battle formulating for 4th. Michael Montello defending from Steve Ficacci in the 51. Ooh, a little slide there from Montello, who goes defensive into turn 4. And I have to wonder how much of this cleanliness that is perceived is because this car fundamentally does not feel quite as broken as Ficacci dives up the inside at 5.
I'm sure these guys are loving it because they can now feel again. This is what I was talking about, that confidence on the brakes as they say that. Oh, 2 cars missing the brakes. Montello sends Ficacci into the wall.
And Ficacci punches it into reverse and heads away from the accident site here, but just gets kind of bound together there with Montello, and they'll carry on, but I think Ficacci certainly got the short end of the stick in that arrangement.
Oh, absolutely. He definitely got the short end of the stick, and he's going to be remembering that.
Anthony and Kevin, 268 and 243 for 12th, trading spots or trying to.
Ooh,
Will Robbins.
Surrendered by Will Robbins, yeah.
And I hear slides ahead. I think it was Mark Shrivastava, and he's around at a terrible spot on the racetrack, and he's going to have to sit here and wait for the field to go by.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate feeling. I'm just going to kind of wait. I think you finally see a gap, and now he's up. Nope, decided better of it.
Dropping down the order.
Hit anyone else and drop back to 25th.
So let's see how this happened. He was behind Morgan Burkhardt. Burkhardt runs wide. Does he go to the outside here? He does. Is there some contact? Yes, right there. Kind of at a pinch point, and he will go around, and that's where he got stuck. Deacon Greenfield has had an off as well. He's already reset, so must have been, that was at turn 12, so first one that corner's claimed.
He actually hit Hausil a little bit, and Ryan Carwile, I believe, got a major piece in that.
Robin Zhu and Mike Leader. Oh, huge hit for Peter Zhang. He absolutely walloped the wall at the exit of the corner, and Jack Chrissy is out as well. Final lap, by the way. That's how quick these. Oh, he was.
Oh, something happened much before that.
Where did he?
Entering turn 1 right here.
Oh, just slipped and bam into the wall there. You see the damage already. That was big news for Jack Chrissy. We pick up battle for 18th, Trent McMillian and Ed Harris. And just behind them, Felix Borodady and Richard Sawicki as we're coming back to the checker this time through.
Yeah, like you mentioned, these races are extremely quick. It just feels like we just started and now it's coming to an end. Speaking of which, here comes Paul Darling actually closing in on Alison Durini. He's been a little bit distant for most of the race. He's closing in, but too little too late.
Yeah, I would say so. He closed in about 4/10 last time by. I think there's probably some conservation in there for Alison Durini, just trying to make sure he doesn't hit anything on the last couple laps. But checkered flag for race number 1. Up front, not a ton of scrapping, but Darling gets back within a half a second at the stripe. And behind them, it's getting pretty racy here for third place. Colin Daner getting to the outside of Darian Taggart. Going to be a drag race to the line between these two. Taggart is just going to get there by 50 thousandths of a second.
I think if Daner had the inside, it might have had more of a shot there, but not quite enough just yet. And transfer spot looks like, sorry, not transfer spot, wrong format. The guy who will be starting on pole in the next race will be Morgan Burkhart, finishing in 8th.
Rest of the field comes across the line. So race 1 with 32 cars. 1, 2, 3, 4 cars, I think, with damage that had to reset, and only 3 of them that are actually out. So I would consider that job well done for a race.
This is one of the cleanest races I've ever seen in Belle Isle, and I've seen a lot of races here.
We have had IndyCar races that started with 25 and ended with 12. And you know, that's not a car that you're necessarily side by side a ton, all self-inflicted incidents there. So we'll see if we throw the chaos there. You mean transfer invert is Morgan Burkhart. That's an important position. Giancarlo Schooler will be on the outside front row for race number 2. So that was a well-landed finishing spot for both the Delta Sport cars.
Yeah, and actually also too, speaking of that team field, he did rejoin the server again. I think he might have had to reset something, and he realized it on the start, so he backed out and then got back in. So he finished in 30th, but is back in the server.
Caleb Patry, yep. We look down the rest of the order here for race number 1. We're going to reset, do it all again here in just a moment, and maybe take some learnings from that, especially for the drivers that had some incidents late in the going. We didn't really get a chance to see what happened to, well, we did see what happened to Jack Chrissy. Turn 1 in a weird spot. The car just kind of walked on him and kind of just pancaked the tire wall, but it wasn't at the exit into the concrete. It was into the tires.
Yeah, well, and it was kind of surprised to see that because we didn't see anyone else do that. I think maybe just was trying to, that tunnel vision, focusing on the guys ahead, threw it in just a little bit too hard on entry, and it kind of the back end ended up stepping out on him. I'm sure he's going to realize not to make that mistake a second time, but he's got a long way to go, starting in 20.
He does. Here is your starting lineup here for race number 2. Before we head back down to the racetrack, it's going to be Morgan Burkhart, Giancarlo Schooler, Michael Montello, Darren Treacle, Colin Daner, your top 5. Steve Ficacci will start 9th for this one. Nice rebound for him, by the way, after that contact he had with the wall. Anthony Montello will wrap up the rest of your top 10 for the start of race number 2.
Yeah, Ganos Hill working hard, starting P30. Will ended up finishing in P15, so going to be rolling off from 15th in this rate. I think he has a solid shot to break the top 10. Maybe even the top 5 if he's lucky.
Yeah, but the problem is this next race will not have an invert, so wherever he finishes is where he will start the third and final 15-minute race. So I think by the end of the night he might be top 8, but he's going to have still a lot of work to do to get into a great starting spot for that third and final race. That'll be just a little bit longer than the previous. Cars rolling. The start last time was very, very slow.
Yeah, and they're planning on doing that again.
Okay.
That's by the admin decision.
Making sure that everyone's bunched up and that you don't end up sailing into turn 1 at Mach 3 when you're side by side. I'm not against that strategy.
It's like the starts you see in Super GT. They do that in that series. They're really comically slow to the start, and then they will start fanning out 4 wide into turn 1.
Relatively warm track as well, just shy of 100 degrees. on the concrete, which is a lot for concrete. And very slow start, but there it is again. Green flag flies. Race 2 of 3 underway here at Detroit Belle Isle, and a pop out of line for Michael Montello as the field storms towards turn number 1 and 2. Everyone on ice and tiptoeing here the first couple corners.
DJ wasn't ready to tiptoe. He was going middle 3 wide between Paul Darling and, Darian Taggart and Paul Darling. And now he's going to go 3 wide again on the exit. Whoop. Now heading to turn 3.
One guy is backwards. We're going the wrong direction there. I think that was Bob Shoemaker in turn number 2, but into turn 3. Michael Montello defends 3rd. Colin Daner, look at, slide by Paul Darling.
Saves it and is going to continue in the right direction, but lost quite a bit of time, lost position to Taggart. Now Fakachi working to his outside.
Nice orderly back here. Orderly as it can be for the start of a race. Fakachi that you mentioned.
And right behind him, Ken Seal in the top 10 already.
Wow, that was a great start for House Seal.
Didn't even finish half a lap and he's already broken inside the top 10. That's really impressive.
Mike Leader and Kevin Zhu. Will Robbins has Peter Zhang behind him. Zhang trying to turn the tides around and start making up positive ground after losing spots almost exclusively in race number 1. But where do you go? What do you do? Outside didn't work, and I don't think you'll have overlap here for 7.
No, definitely want to pick and choose your battles in which part of the track you want to have them, because in sections like this tight narrow section.
Big crash in the background and one car up on its side. That's Ryan Daner and Richard Sawicki.
How did they manage that?
Let's have a look.
Heading off into here. Up, flips him and whack. Hard it.
That was a huge impact there for those 2 cars. And more trouble this time, Jack Chrissy, while we were looking away.
Oh man, this night's gone bad from bad to worse for him.
Oh, were they trying 3 wide?
Yeah, you don't want to try this. What, turn 11?
Oh yeah, they did not do this intentionally. They just got crossed up and all just kind of piled in there. Well, that didn't work. They've learned that and won't try that again, I'm sure. But
battle for 4th place, Dana versus Alessandrini into turn number 3. DJ looking to take the long way around and just going to try to outbrake Dana. Huge amount of ground that he made up. And Dana sideways, catching the curb. Going to lose another spot. Here comes Garrett Treacle.
Aaron up the inside, gets hit from behind. Saves it. That was contact from Paul Darling and Darian Taggart trying to navigate his way around all this.
Paul Darling narrowly clearing ahead of Steve Fakachi to get back into 8th place.
House Hill, half a lap it took him to get him to 10th. A full lap later has made no spots. It's starting to hit that competitiveness wall where it gets a lot harder to make up positions and a lot harder to make ground at a track like this where it's so hard to pass. Albert No, Ryan Daner, Shoemaker out. Sawicki down about 28 seconds from the next closest car because of that contact in turn 7 last time around.
Looking all battle for 2nd, Brewing Michael Montello making up some really good ground after the initial start. As you see side-by-side action, Darling and Fakachi. As Fakachi catches the wall.
No, that's not going to work. No, it's not. And Darling got into the wall on the outside of 7, and then on the outside of 8, Fakachi got in the wall, and Ken goes, well, you guys used up your left and right sides, I'll use up both.
And up ahead of them, you can see Darren Taggart and Daner side-by-side into turn 12. That's probably one of the worst corners to be side-by-side through.
Right through it. Oh, slide for Robbins. And got away with it.
Yeah, just a little bit of dent. Should be okay.
And Alessandrini and Michael Montello for 3rd place.
I was going to say, Montello is making up some really good ground on Schooler, but I think lost him in the last half a lap, being side-by-side with DJ. DJ finally getting past him. Darren Treacle now knocking on the door.
Oh, little contact back here. Will Robbins and Caleb Patry. Caleb trying to make up ground after having to bail out of the first race for an unknown reason, likely software or hardware related problems, but battling for 21st here with Robbins, and look at ahead how spicy it's getting here between Leader and Zhang.
Zhang throw it in really hard. The angle he was taking looked like he was going to go flying into the 53, but just got it down on the brakes. Leader's going to clear Zhang and secure that 13th place spot.
Track position is the name of the game, and if you're not familiar with tracks like this, or maybe even the NASCAR world where you hear about track position all the time, well, you might think that's a dumb statement. Of course you want track position, that's how racing works, but what we mean by that is that it's just really hard to get by people, so it's important to stay where you are or improve.
Darling, wow. Darling just managed to completely outbreak Darian Taggart. I'm surprised. I thought he was going to go flying off into ether.
Oh, from a long ways back. Leaned on the ABS.
That was genuinely amazing. He was able to make the corner.
He made it.
And up into 7th he is. DJ trying to close in on Schooler and Burkhart controlling the field up in the front. No battles really inside most of the top 10. Actually, I say that. Howsiel on the back of Steve Kachi now.
That is for 9th place. Come across the line, under 5 minutes remaining. So we're past halfway at this stage.
And Howsiel backing off early, I think trying to see if he can get a much better exit.
And remember, halfway through lap 1, up to 10th, still there. And that's how frustrating it can be, because making overtakes here is so challenging. He's going to pop out of line, though, a little bit later on the brakes. Can he get it slowed down? Yes, using the 51 a little bit to slow himself down, but gets by.
And Howsiel apologizing for that on the radio, being nice as he usually is. Usually doesn't try to use people up, but just a little rubbing. You know, rubbing's racing.
It's hard to do it without doing that here. And at least get anywhere with it. You can be nice, you just probably won't go very far. And there are some drivers that would just choose to do that instead of knock people out of the way or rub, but you've got points to fight for. You might as well get up there and go fight for them.
Yeah, points to fight for and fenders to use, so go on using them. Whoa, oof. DJ getting a little bit sideways, just caught him right there on the exit of that.
Yeah, he was walking all over the place at the exit of turn 8. Setting up a little bit better than Giancarlo Schooler. I think he's got pace on this 27. This will be a fun fight to watch between these two.
Keeping an eye on DJ's been making up some really good time in this race, despite the invert starting all the way back in 8th after winning race 1. Trying to see if he can win race number 2 here. Gets a great run out of the final corner.
I think the setup will be for turn 3 at the end of the straightaway, not necessarily for 1 and 2. But Schooler does go a little bit defensive through the final corner. Here's DJ, a little bit wider turn in here. He's going to use some curb on the right. And wait a little bit more on throttle here, and now he'll have an excellent run. And it'll be hard for Schooler to keep DJ behind him in this particular circumstance. We'll see what he does.
It's all going to come down to the confidence on the brakes. We saw what Paul Darling was able to do a little while back. We'll see what DJ can do, trying to outbrake the 27. Schooler's going to keep his and hold his ground.
Boy.
Can't quite do it. DJ in the grass.
And he actually is going to complete the pass. That was well done. Around the outside at turn 3. Let's see if leader can do the same on Zhang. Yes. And Carwile too, as then got kind of crossed up there.
Not quite able to clear. They're still going to fight for 14.
Could have him here at 5 though at that. Well, Zhang hangs on. That was an excellent corner by Zhang. Now he's got 6, which he should clear Carwile, but I've been wrong about all these clearings so far, so we'll see.
Yeah, he's going to clear him. Carl, I think, is going to try to get a run back. Couldn't quite get into the exit he needed, I think, on Zhang. We'll see. Try to use him down the straightaway to make up any ground.
And for the lead, it's going to get interesting. We're going to have 1 lap to go next time by. Alessandrini last time through was almost a full second quicker than Burkhart. He's 1.6 back. Morgan doesn't have the usual pace that we're familiar with seeing out of the two. See if DJ can run him down. And Darren Treacle's got Colin Daner all over him. Same with Taggart and Howsiel. That fight's getting close. And Darling looks for 6th place on the 88.
Daner all over the back of Treacle, even through the corners too. Barely let off, trying to pursue that number 7 to get inside that top 5. White flag in the air for the leaders. They come this time by.
There's that white flag waving, and the difference is 1.5 seconds. A little bit far back maybe for DJ to get there, but he'll put all the effort in he can. Taggart's in trouble here, I think, with Howsiel setting him up.
Yeah, Taggart's in trouble. Actually, Fikachi was putting a lot of pressure on Howsiel. Didn't quite get the run off turn 2 I think he needed. Neither did Howsiel on Taggart.
Here comes Darling.
Yep. Darling trying to make a move on Daner, who was going defensive. Trying to do the over-under on the exit. Can't quite get there.
Thought he was going to dive out for turn 4, but that's a much harder corner to dive in on than 3. Even though the radius is a little wider, you don't have as much momentum to carry in, and the braking zone isn't nearly as long. The longer the braking zone, the easier it is to outbrake somebody. Ooh,
Darling was hauling the nail onto the back straightaway. Almost hit the wall.
Comes Howsiel on Taggart for 8th. This is running down towards turn 7.
And again, a lot of this is going to come down to the brakes. Who's going to outbrake who? Who's going to know their limit as well?
Fakachi watching, waiting for a mistake from either one. There's a slip from Taggart, and Fakachi's going to try to get in there. He does. They're going to make contact. Ooh, not a lot of space, but they're going to muscle their way through.
Oh, they're still muscling their way through. They're making contact through on the entry, apex, and exit of that corner. Still, Fakachi trying to make a move on the left side will clear. Can he break in time, though? With a lot of speed, he does.
Taggart wants it back, but I don't think he's got enough.
He might, if he gets a good run out of 13, might be able to race him down to the line.
Checkered flag for Morgan Burkhardt through the final corner. The number 2 picks up a win, but just Alessandrini's right there, 3/10 back.
He's just going to be saying, one more lap, Fad. One more lap would have been able to catch you.
And Taggart unable to get back to Fakachi. That was a great battle between those two. And Trent McMillian, Louis Alessi, and Deacon Greenfield all trading spots here at 12 and 13. Alessi goes back a few.
Yeah, tight quarter battles here in the last part of the lap, coming to the checkered flag.
Ours finish it up. Let's have a look at our race 2 results. Interesting fights all around, but a good one up front too. I think DJ with one more lap would have been there. He might have even gotten by Morgan Burkhardt. I don't think that 2 quite has his usual pace. Giancarlo Schooler, P3. Michael Montello, some great runs tonight so far in 4th. Then Darren Treacle, P5. Daner, Darling, Hausil, Fakachi, and Taggart, the rest of your top 10.
Yeah, Michael Montello really flexing his muscle here at the street course. Looking at Darren Treacle, also a solid run for him inside the top 5, doing well in both of these races. And Ken Hausil up to only 8th, which is a bit surprising. Which is surprising to me after his first lap pace was really strong, but like we mentioned several times, just ended up stalling out, couldn't quite get by enough cars.
Well, I did say that he would be in the top 8 by the end of race 3. He did that by race 2, so maybe a top 5 is reasonable, but he's got some tricky guys to pass next on the list. Here's a look at 11th through 20th. Trent McMillian grabs the top 20. Caleb Patry drove through about 15 cars to get there, so good run there for the 198. Then Kobach, Carwile, Zhang just inside and outside of that top 15.
Yeah, looking on there, we saw Deacon Greenfield, Will Robbins, Louis Leslie fight it out to the end of the last race, and the session looks like it's going to be shifting over, so I think we're going to lose results, and there they go. So we get ready we have a warm-up here for just a few minutes, and then we have the 15-minute final, race 3.
We got a moment. Let's go back and look at a couple moments from that race. I think one of them was this incident here, heading down into turn number 7. This was a big crash here between the 6 and the 528 of Richard Sawicki here.
Yeah, and Daner, I think, was hoping for a better, wider exit. Took him into the wall, and flying in the air did Daner go.
Jack Chrissy, issues in this race, just like race number 1. This gets kind of tagged and caught up together with this group of cars. And then Steve Fakachi and Darian Taggart. This was an all-out, elbows-out brawl fest here through the carousel section.
I expect him to hit another time here coming towards turn 11. Fakachi able to clear just narrowly out of Taggart to secure that spot.
I don't know how much Taggart really meant. He tried to keep Fakachi from diving in, but I don't think any of this was intentional. I think they were just kind of all grabbing handfuls of wheel, trying to make it work, make it stick through the corner and not lose control, because if you give up any room, you're going to end up getting yourself run into the wall. So they had to be elbows out there, and they came out across the other side. I'm sure they're not thrilled with each other, but it could have been a lot worse.
Definitely could have been a lot worse. But some great racing in the end. In fact, these 2 races have genuinely surprised me with how much passing and action we had going on. I thought it would be a little bit more subdued, but I'm enjoying it. I'm having a lot of fun.
And this is kind of reflects what the drivers thought was going to happen. This was going to be one of our better races, because this track is just hard to drive. People make mistakes. And I think one of the things that's helped, as we mentioned earlier, the changes to the car last night really made this a much more enjoyable and easier to drive experience, like you would expect with a car with 230 horsepower and slicks. So that's exciting to see. But we're about a minute away from our feature event, 15 minutes, which will be about, what are we looking at, another 3-4 laps by the lap times we're running?
Yeah, I would think so. I'd say probably, actually, I'm trying to do math in my head. Give me a second.
6 laps for the 10-minute races.
It might be 3 laps.
3 laps? Yeah.
Might be, maybe 4.
So either way, last race coming up here shortly, and on the calendar, on the horizon here as we look forward to the last couple of rounds of the season. We're getting close to it, folks. The next round will be next week. That will take us to Mid-Ohio, which is a great circuit for a car like this. I can't wait. Then Summit Point will be our last round in the GR86 Cup car. And then on March 29th, we're going to wrap it all up with Suzuka with a GT3 race. So that'll be a non-points event on the 29th of March.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a while since we've been to Suzuka. I'm trying to think actually the last series we even did there.
It has been a while. Not a track that's immensely popular. It might have been with this group previously.
Probably.
The track that I think pops up on their fun schedule on every other season or so. As does Bathurst. All right, and Checkered Falls on the warm-up here, so that means we're heading down to the race. Again, 15 minutes is the race distance. That means that this will be about, let's see what the estimate says. I would guess 9 laps, and that's what it says. So around a 9-lap race here as we head back down to the racetrack and get ourselves set up for this one. So the starting order is based on the finishing results from race number 2, which means that Morgan Burkhardt and DJ Alessandrini will share the front row. And based on what we saw at the tail end of race 2, I bet you DJ has the lead by the end of lap 1.
I'm kind of hoping he does. I want to see a little bit more action because DJ does seem to have just a lot more outright pace than Burkhardt or Schooler. So I'm kind of hoping DJ makes a small little mistake, gets sent back to like 3rd or 4th, and has to race his way on through those two up near the front. Otherwise, he's, honestly, if he does get the lead of the race by lap 1, I think he's going to probably drive away with this.
Yeah, he's just got the pace and the advantage this week, and I just think DJ and mistakes don't really happen a ton. We did see a couple of them a few rounds ago at Barber, but they are not common. So DJ will likely, if he can get by, as you mentioned, lead a big portion of this, if not just win it from the front row. Giancarlo Schooler starts behind his teammate. That could help displace Alessandrini. The Michael Montello, he has had a fantastic night tonight in that number 3 car.
Yeah, just some generally good pace. He hovers usually around, I want to say, between 15th and 10th place is usually his sweet spot from what I've seen the few races he's done. But this race, he's shown some really, really good pace out of the top 5. He genuinely could be a threat in case things go wrong up near the front. We'll see if he's planning anything in the number 3 car.
And here's a battle that I think everybody's got their eyes on is Paul Darling versus Ken House-Seal. That will be a good fight. Steve Ficacci and Darian Taggart in that group as well, all very similar on pace. I predict that will be where the cameras will stick. Well, I guess I could make that prediction and make it come true. I'm in control of them. We'll see how it goes. Here we go. Green flag, race 3 of 3 from Belle Isle.
Oh boy, it looks like we're almost 3-4 wide, heading off into turn number 1 in the background. DJ trying to swing around the outside, now stuck on the inside, fighting with Burkhardt for the lead.
Through turns 1 and 2, so far so good. Battle door to door down the straightaway towards turn number 3. I think this time everyone's made it through turn 2 without getting sideways. And can DJ make the pass on the outside? This is going to be a challenging corner to do so.
He's going to try to pinch Burkhardt. Burkhardt not holding anything back. Going to still be side by side. They're dead heat now into turn 4.
Car in the wall in the background that bounced off the tire bundles. DJ's got the advantage here into turn 5 rather, and he's got him. DJ passed both the Delta Sport teammates.
Trying to do an over-under, gets a decent run. Is he going to dive? Nope, not going to dive again.
Turn 7, though, that's a pretty critical corner. He just didn't get an immense run out of there. Go back deeper the field, Jack Chrissy, Louis Alessi, and a lot of people that'll be bumping and shuffling.
Up near the front, Colin Diener fighting side by side with Steve Ficacci for 7th place.
It is turn 7 now. Ficacci on the inside here. We've seen drivers get hooked together a lot there. That was very tight.
Very tight, flirting with the limits.
One guy
here
in the wall, and it's Ed Harris, who's now split 3 wide as everybody bounces through it.
DJ's trying to break away from the rest of the field. Burkhardt, Schooler, Montello, and Paul Darling knocking on the door of Montello in 4th.
Ooh, big lock up there from somebody. I think that was Greenfield that locked up. And turn 12 has not taken enough cars tonight, so I am not. It has not had its fill.
Darling making a huge move on the front straightaway, side by side with the 3 of Montello. Now through the final quarter, we're heading to turn 1.
Darren Treacle's got a great perspective of this. Montello tight to the inside, and he's going to leave the door open here at turn 2, and Treacle thought about going there, but didn't do it.
But Darling didn't get as good of an exit as he wanted. Here comes Montello now working to the left side of the track. Trying to see if he can get a run. Treacle kind of waiting to see what happens here.
Doors open on Montello. Being pretty cautious about jamming the car up the inside, which is nice to see. And look in the background, Kevin Zhu on Colin Daner. Daner to the inside of Ficacci.
Ooh, Dana almost getting into Fikachi, and Zoo and Hausil now duking it out for 10th place, or sorry, 9th place, I should say.
And Taggart into the mix. Whoops, spin in the background. That is Peter Zhang. Saved it. Great work there to keep that car from going all the way around and being a trackside object.
He actually had some help from Shrivastava to get him back straight. Prevent him spinning out, and look at this brewing. 2 wide are going to go 3 wide.
Not quite, but Daner has caught this battle here as Montello drops
man,
a few spots.
Fikachi barely made it by Montello there. It was like a little bit of a tap and almost sent him around. Now Seal now just going to scoot on by Kevin Zhu, get up to 9th place. Actually a bad start for the 29 now. Seal back down 1 spot.
Yeah, net of -1. Not the right direction for the 29, but a tough night because of that missed qualifying. Darian Taggart has also gone the wrong direction here a little bit, and he's going to almost get some help from leader pushing him through.
Yeah, I was going to say that these guys are really flirting with that damage model, giving a shove through the corner. I would not try to do that.
Well, sometimes you're in the car looking at the scenery. Sometimes you're in the scenery looking at the car. So. Dust and debris kicking up at turn 1. Oh, big hit for Taggart and leader.
Yeah, leader followed him in there, but Taggart taking a huge blow. I'll be surprised that car isn't drivable. That was a heavy hit.
He hit it pretty square, but you see the damage done, and gonna knock the camber out for sure. Look at the front and rear of that thing on the right side pretty well.
And from the looks of it, does not have a meatball, so he's good to go.
Certainly not going to drive very well. Might drive like a pot of meatballs. I mean, I just don't think those would drive very good.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Probably an Assetto Corsa mod for it, if I had to guess.
Oh, there's definitely one. I'm surprised it wasn't.
Alessandrini. Morgan Burkhardt actually has been kind of keeping pace with DJ. The gap was larger, and now it's kind of come back down. So I wonder if Morgan just didn't get a lot of time to practice and is now kind of finding his rhythm here. For most of the season, the 2 has actually been slightly better than the 61.
Yeah, he's been keeping him honest, and like you mentioned, has been keeping the pace. Question is he going to be able to close that gap, and not just close the gap, make a move for the lead? That's what I'm curious to see out of the 2. But like you mentioned, for most of the season has that. Oh, he almost loses it in 12, almost spun out.
Oh, a couple cars scraping the wall at 12, and look at how Seal up the inside of Daner. They almost come together. They're going to both pinch their exits off. That will leave Kevin Zhu with a big run, but nowhere to go with it.
Wow, I'm amazed Ken went for that move in turn 13. Very tight, hard to make a move there. And speaking of which, here comes a move from Hausil trying to see if he can clear the 88. Can't quite get by in 1. Going to try to pinch him in 2. Dana almost takes him out.
That will leave him vulnerable to Kevin Zhu on driver's left.
Yeah, and Dana's just suffering right now. Damage, a decent amount of damage to both sides of the car as well.
Good dive for Zhu on the brakes, chasing Hausil into the braking zone. The lead has re-extended now to 1.3 seconds between the top 2.
Yeah, it looks like actually Schooler started to close in on Burkhardt. Could be a battle for P2 between the teammates. And Paul Darling all over the back of Schooler as well. So 3-way battle for second place.
And Darling has had a pretty good race up 3 spots and is now tracking both the Delta Sport cars. Has them in the crosshairs here at turn 7.
Does not make a move. Gonna wait for a better moment to strike.
Schooler a little bit wobbly on the power.
And Darling wobbly on the power there, going over the bumps. That's the tough thing. This section is so bumpy. It's really hard. That's why you see these guys sliding everywhere, just trying to get traction.
Whoa, spin for Treacle. That's a bad spot to get stuck to.
He's running so well up until that point.
And he is going to call it there, unfortunately. Up inside the top 10, and just as you mentioned, hard to get grip right there. It steps out. And he almost had it pointed, but it gets into the wall, and then you're stuck. And at that point, you have to back it up, and you're just going to be a hazard, unfortunately. Chrissy and Trent McMillian side by side through 12. You can't do that successfully. They just managed to somehow.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to make a move through those 2 corners in a Mazda.
No.
Not that these are much faster.
I wouldn't want to make it in a go-kart. or even a golf cart. I wouldn't want to walk single file or double file through there. It's tight. get your concrete burn on your shoulder.
We'll see if there's going to be any concrete burn between these two. Ken Ellis trying to work on by Montel, going to squeeze him out. Kevin Zhu looking to take an opportunity out of this.
And Colin Daner got both of them in the windshield, spectating this battle. And Zhu's a little wide, opens the door for Daner, who climbs the curb at 5. Now it's going to be all about setting him up for the exit of 6 here. Gets in the wall on the left, but throttles down a little sooner.
Going to be loose. Gets hit by Daner just a little bit. Almost sent him flying sideways. Daner now going to go all the way to the right side of the track, and here they go side by side.
Colin Daner's race, 6th back to 9th. He's gone backwards. Zhu, though, 12th to 8th. He's gone forwards.
Ooh, and Paul Darling by Schooler, and again in the braking zone.
That's been the dive at 7 for Darling. That's worked pretty well. See how he navigated that. Let's go back a little bit. Here's a replay of it. Way later on the brakes. He's just so confident and runs a little wide there, but once you get past, there's not really much you can do. There's not really a place for you to bounce back there.
Whoa, Burkhardt. Oh, Burkhardt's got damage, I think.
Yeah, he just hit the wall at 12.
Ah, well, you want a chaos in turn 12? There you go.
I got it. Told you.
Burkhardt will be happy.
He's real slow now. That definitely killed his momentum, if anything.
You know what's amazing? What's amazing? He doesn't have a meatball.
Got to hit it harder than that.
Well, I mean, you knocked that alignment pretty well. That car doesn't look like it's driving particularly strong.
6 minutes to go. Darling's up into a podium spot now. 2nd place. Silver dangling ahead of him.
Darling trying to do a little bit of a fake out here.
His signature move has been that late break into 7, so we'll see if he sets Burkhardt up for that.
Although, he's definitely close enough.
Yeah, but Schooler and Burkhardt are again communicating, so Burkhardt's going to know that that's what Darling is trying to do. But I mean, other than defending, there's not really a lot you can do about it. All right, he braked later than you. What are you going to do? Chance him?
Burkhardt kind of messed up the exit a little bit. Darling got a better one out of turn 6 now to turn 7. And I think maybe a little bit too far back.
Thought that the first time, too.
That's true.
No.
Nope, he does not make the move.
Made it pretty clear that he wasn't going to pop out and make a pass. Darling is a fierce racer, but as far as hurting to fly, he would never. Wow.
Oh, hello.
Adam Koback got 2 wheels on Mars and 2 firmly on planet Earth as here comes Leader down the inside.
And also 2 wheels into the wall. A little bit of contact for there, as you mentioned. Leader now trying to make a move to the inside. Will now be put on the outside into 11.
Yeah, Koback concedes.
Barely get by.
Smart move there by Koback. I don't think he was going to hold much.
Ooh, for second, Darling, great run off on Burkhardt. Racing down through the final corner now to the stripe. Let's go look to the outside into turn 1.
Hard lane to hold on to, though, on the outside of 1. Marbles out there. We saw that take out one of our other competitors tonight, Jack Chrissy, in race 1. And Louis Alessi has had a problem. We'll go back to that one in a little bit, but here's your battle for second.
Darling, great run. Going to move to the left-hand side of the track to try to see if he can outbrake the 2. Pretty equal heading in. Darling a little bit too hot.
Oh, he's in the wall.
Grabs some tire barrier. He's good.
He hit that pretty hard, though, and he's got some pretty significant left side damage.
I've seen worse.
I'm surprised the concrete seems like it's doing less damage than the tire bundles are.
Yeah, that's why I think it'll be better off, but it did give him a pretty decent amount of visual damage at least.
And behind, a little bit of a battle here, Fakachi and Hausil. Ken going for a top 5. This is that spot if he can get it.
Drag racing down into turn number 7. And see who's going to outbrake who. Especially now with 3 minutes and counting left on the clock.
There's Darling past Burkhardt at 7, and same for Hausil on Fakachi.
Gets it by, and actually Darling didn't plan on making a move.
Darling dropped 2 spots. Back, he lost spots to both the teammates now. The Delta Sport cars are passed. Here's how that transpired. Slide by the 2. Darling goes to the outside. Was there a touch here? No, Darling just runs wide, and too wide gets in the marbles.
Burkhardt scared him out of it and then sent him wide. So Darling had a yield and now has to make up 1 more spot than where he was a lap ago.
He was on the podium, then was in second. Now he's not even on the podium anymore. That's frustrating. He will have to do it all over again.
And it's only 2 laps to do it.
Tall order.
Estimates.
Setting up Schooler pretty effectively here. I don't think Hausil and Fakachi is a
Ooh,
done deal yet.
caught a bit of wall on the exit of 2, sorry.
Who's counting?
Yeah.
They all hurt to hit.
William Burkhardt being mistaken to turn 3. Here comes
here we
Schooler
go.
and Darling. Oh, through wide's not going to work through here, guys.
No, but he's going to do 2. He's going to grab Schooler. If he can just run him out a little wide, he can't. Well, that was a moment that he had to capitalize on. He wasn't able to fully complete the pass. Can he stick to the outside? He can't.
Got squeezed out in 5 through turn 6 now. Nowhere for Darling to go. Just trying to get a run to see if he can at least clear by Schooler. He might have a chance of Burkhardt up ahead.
That was a pretty critical moment. If he wanted Burkhardt, he had to get that done there, I think. The second might be off the table now unless Burkhardt makes another mistake. We've seen him do that into turn 7 a couple of times.
And behind them, Colin Daner, Michael Montello fighting side by side. Montello going defensive on the inside. He's going to narrowly clear. They're swerving. And here comes Daner with the run. Going to back out of it.
Darling setting up Schooler once more. Takes a big chunk of curb and rear end slides out from behind him.
Yeah, that's the annoying part. Like the track dips there on the exit at turn 11. So when you need the traction, when you need the power the most, it's going to fail you.
Daner looks up the inside of Montello at 12.
White flag in the air for DJ Alessandrini. One more lap for all these guys coming to the line, and it's going to be interesting.
I'll say it's been interesting. Add one more lap to the books here as Darling is trying to get back to a podium spot and just is struggling. He had second, so close, and just left too much space there for Burkhardt at turn 8, and then that's what let Schooler get on by, and since then he has been unable to rebound from that.
And Burkhardt doesn't make a mistake through turn 3 this time. Darling does get a better run than the 27. Nowhere for him to go. That's a jump on the brakes there.
Had a good run and didn't know what to do with it there. Daner and Montello trading spots finally at turn 3.
Yeah, Montello caught a little bit too much curb on the apex of turn 3. That's how those positions got swapped.
It's close, but I don't know if he's close enough to make his signature dive up the inside at 7.
If he does it now, he's going to send the 27 into the wall. I don't think he's going to do that.
No, not close enough. Is there any mistake, though, by one of the Delta Sport cars? No. There's not really an opportunity to dive underneath there, but maybe in the final 3 or 4 corners, this is the closest battle on the racetrack at the moment for 3rd.
Might have a chance in 11 here. Can't quite. Looks like he's going to try to take a better exit onto 12. Same thing there. Again, lost traction on the exit.
DJ Alessandrini through 12 and 13 for the final time. Then the sweeper at 14. It'll be another victory for DJ Alessandrini. A second win in 3 races tonight. DJ Alessandrini wins at Belle Isle here, the WDCR SCCA Virtual Racing League, round number 7. Then it's Burkhardt, Schooler, and Darling. Then House Seal following in 5th. That was a great result. There's Paul in the wall. House Seal from dead last in race 1, or at least qualifying for race 1, up to 5th place. So strong effort to climb through the field.
Really solid job by the 29 of House Seal. It's one of those things where if you wonder if you managed to get a decent qualifying lap and how much higher you probably could have been. I'm sure he's probably thinking that as well.
Could have maybe had a shot at a win like he did at Indianapolis last week. Damage model on display there. You know, something I've noticed watching cars crash, Finian, is didn't it seem more sensitive when I was doing it in testing? It almost seems like it's not sensitive enough on remote cars, but that's another conflict. Let's have a look at our race results. Race number 3 of the night. This time Alessandrini picks it up. Burkhardt, Schooler, the rest of your podium. Delta Sport on the podium for both of those cars. And Caleb Patry, by the way, who joined late after making a mistake or having to pull off in race 1. He was 27th in this race as well, so chasing an issue still. Steve Ficacci P6, Michael Montello, great night, 4th, and 8th for the number 3.
Yeah, I'm sure he's probably going to be, he was hoping for a better run in race number 3. Got fully out of some spots, just didn't quite have the speed there. Anthony Montello, though, great run for him into 9th, and then Kevin Zhu, rounding out your top 10.
And moving on down. Here's the other thing I forgot. We were talking about how clean everything was going. We have a live steward tonight, which was an adjustment from last week. That was Kyle Herbst that was sitting trackside. I think that helped quell a lot of the chaos. I think
Yeah, he did actually give drive-through penalty to someone early in the race. It wasn't anyone notable near the front, so it didn't get a chance to mention it.
Yeah, I forgot about that, but that oversight certainly seemed to have an impact on the racing for the better, which is great, especially at a track that has potential for so much chaos. That is great to see. Let's pull in DJ Alessandrini, won 2 of the 3 races tonight, brings it home in the feature. Drove off into the proverbial sunset by 6 seconds, DJ. Race 2, though, was the one where you were chasing Morgan and just ran out of time.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know if they were playing the game or not, but they did conveniently end up on the front row, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys noticed that one too?
Oh, we did. Oh, yeah.
They claim they weren't playing it, but that seemed oddly convenient on a track that's very hard to pass on. But everyone in race 2 raced me super clean. There was a lot of trust. Whether I should have been trusting or not, it all worked out. So race 2 was a blast. Race 1, just trying to stay away from Paul. Paul was definitely really fast tonight. Paul hasn't played iRacing in 3 weeks, and he just hops on and is quick. So Paul's a maniac. He deserved a better placement tonight than wherever he ended up in the points. But yeah, thanks to Ken. He shared his setup 3 weeks ago. That completely changed the car. Thanks to Kevin Zhu for finally convincing iRacing that the car was broken in some way.
It's so much better, isn't it? I drove it last night. It's so much better.
Yeah, it's a lot better.
It's so much more like a car. I felt like I could push without dying, and I think that's a lot of what you saw tonight, is that I felt like I could play with the limits of the car. I think the car before liked being driven just under the limit, and that is just not how I drive. So I could finally play with the limit of adhesion, and I think my pace showed that tonight.
Yeah, certainly a pickup, DJ. So, hey, thanks for chatting with us, and I'm glad that this car drives like a car, because I was excited last night. I hit the brakes, and it didn't spin around like a top, so that was entertaining and exciting. So we'll see you next week at Mid-Ohio. That'll be a great combination.
Yep, can't wait. It's going to be fun.
We'll see you next week.
Later.
Up next, we got Giancarlo Schooler and Morgan Burkhardt. Let's pull them in, the teammates, once more. Second and third in this one. Morgan, you got a victory in race number 2. Let's start with you. Tonight, it seemed like in qualifying, the pace wasn't there, but come race time, you were right up in the mix. Take us through your evening.
Oh, yeah, no, I had nothing in qualifying. 13th was about all I could do. I ended up waiting until the last possible minute to actually buy the track. It was 6:57 when I actually bought it, and then I did my first laps at about 7:40 and figured out how to drive by trial by fire. Kind of figured it out while racing, and actually got my my baggage together in race 3, and was holding with DJ for a little bit. But all around it was pretty fun racing. It was pretty clean. It's really weird that this track would promote clean racing, but it did, and it was fun. It's super strange though too, because it's really bumpy in places that it doesn't seem like it would be, and it makes the car go a little bit haywire. So it's fun to kind of play with and work around bumps. And your teammate P3 in race number 3, Giancarlo, take us through chasing Morgan there and getting by Paul, holding him off in the closing laps, and also the changes to this car. DJ Alessandrini loved it. It says it helped his pace because it drives like a car. You can put it on the limit a little bit more. Your thoughts on all those things?
Yeah, first of all, DJ was super quick tonight, so props to him. Me and Morgan both had just nothing for him. He was great all night long. But yeah, the changes to the car helped a lot. I think our setup today was a little soft, so I had to deal with a little bit of body roll at this track, just trying to compensate for the bumps here. But the car is now much better on the brakes, I feel, and I think the racing was overall a lot better, and you could finally go door to door without, one car just spewing off. So I think the new damage model is helping that as well. So I'm excited in the weeks, going forward to see what the racing's like. Awesome, guys. Hey, thanks so much for chatting with us. We'll see you next week. Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. I think that will be a cracking combination. We'll see you there. Thanks, guys. Thank you. All right, wrapping things up here from Detroit, Belle Isle, and again, repeating that statement, Mid-Ohio is a fantastic racetrack for a car of this speed and pace. In the past, it's put on some really good racing for this league, in particular in GT4 cars, and this is kind of a step down from that, but a step above the Miata that we typically race there. So I'm really looking forward to Mid-Ohio, a great racetrack for this kind of racing, and that's what's coming up next week, Finian.
Yeah, especially too because you definitely are going to need some good brakes at Mid-Ohio. You need to feel confidence in the car, so I'm sure these guys are going to be enjoying that. They're going to be throwing this car around, and like you said, should have some great action from there.
That's going to do it for us tonight. We'll see you next week from Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Streams tomorrow to keep your eye on. We've, of course, got the season finale for the FSS Esports iRacing Spec Miata Series. And then over on the Porsche Twitch channel, the starting round for the 2023 Porsche Esports Sprint Challenge Canada will be broadcasting. That will be Finian, myself, and DJ Clark bringing you the action tomorrow. We'll see you there, 8 p.m. Eastern for that one. Thanks so much, everybody. We'll see you.